I'm Cody Goff.
Like I normally
I'm Cody Goff.
I'm Jonathan
I'm
Martin.
Starting.
I have an important thing to say.
Shut up.
It's important.
I'm starting. I'm Cody Goff. And this is Jonathan Martin. And this is Game Life Balance U.S. And we're really happy to be here. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Yeah. Okay, what were you going to say? I'm just kidding. I'm not ready yet. Hey, today we're going to talk about some stuff. We're going to have a little balancing act and talk about balancing life and other hobbies, which is the premise of our entire podcast. Then we're going to talk life stuff. And we're going to talk about John's life because we always talk about my life because mine's generally more interesting. But we'll talk about John's for once. And then if we have time, we'll get to current news. Or we'll just ignore our entire format and let John talk about anecdotes the entire time, which is all he wants to do.
Talk about anecdotes?
Take it away.
That's not how an anecdote works.
So
Budweiser, did you see this news today? You had to have because you were on the internet everywhere. Budweiser today announced that they were changing the name of their beer Budweiser, like the iconic Budweiser.
Where did you go? John, I'm still live. All right, my internet has not... My internet has not indicated that I have any issues whatsoever.
It was me, and there we go. Who knows what the hell happened there? So Budweiser, that was weird. I literally crashed, which has never happened before. We move along. So Budweiser, Anheuser-Busch's Budweiser. You can hear me, right? No, you're frozen. This is a good start. This is the start that we anticipate here on Game Life Balance US. If I could capture this freeze frame of your face, it's a perfect freeze frame for you. Okay, hang on. Can you hear me yet? Can you hear me yet? Okay, all of my connections are fine.
What is going on? Google Hangouts has to be experiencing difficulties because my internet's fine.
Yeah, and mine is too. So this must be a Google Hangouts. I think for the first time ever, this is not an us issue. Okay, as I was saying, very importantly, Anheuser-Busch, the company that makes Budweiser, the iconic American beer Budweiser, announced today that they're going to be changing the name of their beer from what I can tell, it's just the summer. They're going to be changing the name of the beer from Budweiser to America. America the beer. It's not America the beer. That's not the name. The name is not America the beer. The name is just America. But it's a beer, so it's America the beer. So there was kind of like a field day of stuff that happened all over the internet today, and I'm sure you saw some of it. But one of my favorites that I saw was, it is now totally okay to say that America sucks as well as America tastes like piss.
Wow.
That was one of my favorite ones that I said. But I just, I don't know. Is it like pandering? Maybe it's kind of a pandering move. It's also just kind of gross. I don't know. It just sounds so. It sounds so disingenuine. It doesn't. It's not like they're not even in the United States anymore as a company, right? Didn't they move out of the United States?
I have no idea.
I think Anheuser-Busch moved out of the United States. So it seems pandering. It seems very pandering to me. And the idea of sitting down on the deck in the summer, super hot out. I need a nice cold one. Give me a tall boy of America.
Pass me in America, brah.
Pass me in America, bro.
Pass me in America.
Greatest beer on earth.
Yeah.
Better beer than every other beer. This beer keeps the rest of the beers safe.
What is the drink that is made of orange juice and beer?
Is that a thing?
That's a beer. That's a drink.
That sounds like the worst drink.
You've never heard of that? I'll Google it on my phone. I mean, I'll search for it on my phone. Sorry for brand delusion or whatever, Google. In fact, I'll do it with Siri so that the listeners to this podcast don't need to listen to me typing, which is boring. Siri.
I found it. What? It's a Dirty Sanchez. It's right here on the internet.
Is it really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it's called.
Well, Siri says, well, I said to Siri, need typing, which is boring. Siri, what? And she said, I'm sorry. You better be, woman.
All right. So you said it's an orange juice and beer drink?
It's not it's not a Dirty Sanchez. You jerk. You tricked me.
It's a perfect brass monkey, or the beer mosa, as it is colloquially.
What is beer and orange juice?
Colloquially known as. It's the rusty
checking. Here we go. The pros and cons of drinking orange juice. Here, beer with orange juice recipes. I'm going to yumly.com. This is investigative journalism at its best.
I see beer mosa and brass monkey.
Brass monkey?
Listen, this is what Google has told me. I don't know what.
I know it's a drink. I know it's a drink, and I want it to be called something like the white trash mimosa or something, so that if you make it with America, it's even more trash.
It's just the idea of drinking something called America. It feels pandering to the American public, you know?
I guess it's called a beer mosa. That's disappointing. I think it should be called the white trash mimosa. And if it's made within America, then it's got to be like I don't know, man.
I mean, I drink maybe one Budweiser a year, maybe. So it's not like this is going to change my drinking habits of beer. It's not like suddenly I'm going to stop buying Budweiser because it's suddenly named America, or I'm suddenly going to start buying more America because it has been renamed from Budweiser to America. That's not going to happen because I never drank Budweiser in the first place. But the point is that now when I'm walking through the store and I'm looking at all the beers on the shelves and I say, I've got this like sampler pack of this thing, and then I've got this 30 pack of America that I can buy. I'm going to hang my head a little bit, and I'm going to shake it a little bit because it just sounds dumb. It just sounds dumb.
It's also not going to help them on the internet. If you search for America, it's kind of taken by about
by what?
800 million, or let's just Google America. I mean, let's search for America. Sorry, Google, brand delusion. If you Google America, it gives you 2,210,000,000 results.
Is the first image a bald eagle? Okay,
no,
Google's,
the first image.
I'm done with Google. It should be a bald eagle holding a flag.
But you haven't heard what it is
Holding
yet.
a flag in its mouth, flying over a mountain, and for some reason Mickey Mouse is there.
You haven't heard what the image is yet.
Okay, I'm waiting.
The top result, if you Google America, is in the news. Budweiser renames beer America this summer with a picture of the can. So clearly, you know what? I don't know anything about internet.
You don't. It's
marketing.
not like that's your job or anything. And you should know that the first result is something that happened today. That's pretty good, though.
Somewhat ironically, I guess this falls into the realm of irony. The second result, besides in the news, first result's the United States on Wikipedia. The second result is America the band. And from the Google search result excerpt, America is a rock band formed in England in 1970. So there's that little juicy irony.
There was a band named Europe. Were they American?
I'm not sure. Let's Google Europe. I mean, search for Europe, but I'm actually searching for it on Google. So Europe, the band, which literally
they did the final countdown.
It literally isn't even on the first page of Google search results. This could just be a Google episode. I don't even know why.
That's because the only song they ever did was the final countdown, right?
It's the only song they ever did. So they were formed in Upplands Vosby, Stockholm in 1979.
Oh, in New York.
Sweden.
Uplands, Stockholm, Boshley, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. This has been another edition of Cody searches for things on the internet and calls it Googling and then reads them. And Jon tells me what to do. And what else?
It was a really good episode. It was a really good
episode. Thank you for this. Has been another episode of Game Life Balance U.S., the American edition. Just kidding, everyone.
Yeah, we have a whole show to do now, unfortunately.
Kidding, Jon. You thought you'd get out of it easy.
No, I never do. I always assume the worst. It makes it pleasantly surprising when it's not the worst. I'm with you. It's the worst.
Has that happened?
No, not yet, but I'm waiting. And see, now I'm never disappointed. More disappointed.
All right. So you want to get into the show?
Sure. You got stuff to talk about.
Good, because if we go long, then I don't get dinner from my girlfriend, and that is not...
You should get dinner. You, more than anybody, need that.
You call me
I'm
fat?
calling you tall.
Oh, okay. Well, speaking of tall, I think it's time for Balancing Act. That's the name of a segment. That's why I said it like that. That's why there was a sound effect for the podcast listener. And
just kind of like a freak to the video listener, watcher, video
seamless
listener.
transition. Seamless transition.
You called attention to it. Now it's not seamless anymore.
It's more seamless. We've been over this. Hey, so guess what I did last week on the video games?
You probably played Metal Gear Solid.
Besides that,
I got nothing because that's all I've seen you do in terms of video games.
Yeah, that's pretty much true. I finished Zelda Twilight Princess HD.
Oh, hey, that's like both of our favorite Zelda game, other than Link to the Past.
It is. And I wanted to talk about the fact that I also got Star Fox, the new Star Fox game.
So I know
whatever it's called.
I noticed Star Fox Zero.
Mm-hmm.
So I noticed that we're talking about Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess not in full gamer, but in Balancing Act, which is kind of interesting considering you completed the game.
Yes, it is. Because I'm not going to review Twilight Princess HD because it came out 10 years ago. And the only thing that's new about it is this optional dungeon, which I can talk about a little, but it's the same game. It's just at 60 frames per second.
Sure.
So the camera moves a little more smoothly. And I like the motion. I mean, running through the fields, you can move the camera around and it does look more smooth and a bit more pretty. And I like the 60 frames per second. I'm a staunch...
You're a graphic whore. You can say it.
You're a
graphics whore.
I'm pretty obsessed with 60 frames per second. Since I got my new gaming rig last year with my new video card, I pretty much will freak out if a game doesn't seem to be running at 60 frames per second. I don't know if you're the same way.
It's pretty cool when it does.
Okay, there you go. So we're going to talk about Balancing Act because I beat Twilight Princess HD. I got Star Fox Zero when it came out, which was like a week and a half ago now, right? Probably at least a week.
It's been a couple weeks,
close to 2 weeks.
The zeitgeist has cooled.
Guess how much of that game I have played?
See, it's a Star Fox game, so you have to go through like 20 different levels. But then they're divergent, and so you have to play through the game about 6 times. I'd say you've probably seen about 40% of the levels.
Yeah, I have not played the game yet. At all.
Have you seen 40% of the levels, though?
Nope, not so much. I've not seen really anything or heard much about the game. I wanted to talk about when games start to turn into and feel like projects to me. And we went over this a bit with Metal Gear Solid 5 and my kind of weird obsessive-compulsive quest to get 100% in that game. By the way, I'm 92% done, and I will 100% it for sure. I've already gotten an S rank on every mission. All I need to do is complete some mission tasks, capture some animals, and I win.
We're all very impressed.
I know. Thank you. So with Twilight Princess HD, let me tell you about this game. The first 3 dungeons are some of the best dungeons in Zelda games, in 3D Zelda games. The first 3 are phenomenal. So played those, and the world opens up very slowly. What's fun about the Zelda series and the Metroid series and lots of Nintendo series is you get a new item and you go, oh yeah, cool, I got bombs now. I can go bomb these 6 walls I saw in the game earlier and get secrets. And that kind of happens throughout the game. This is all these games, right? With Twilight Princess, I noticed you beat the first 3 dungeons. There's very little ability to kind of go back and grab things you've seen. And then after the first 3 dungeons, maybe 3.5, if there's like a side thing that happens, after those, the world completely opens up and you can do pretty much anything. And I spent seriously probably 10 hours or something just doing side stuff, which was
have
great.
Most of the items in the game at that point. It's been a very long time since I've played it, so I don't really remember.
No, you're missing the Dominion Rod and you're missing the ball and chain that you swing around your head. But the ball and chain that yeah, the chain chomp. But the chain chomp only really gets you 1 or 2 pieces of heart. It's not really extensively used. And you get the dual claw shot really close to the end of the game. But again, that's only used for a few heart containers. But the bulk of everything else is contained in that kind of first half. Then the second part of the game happens, and I feel it's far weaker than the first half. Maybe just, I would say it's because I'm replaying it, but that should make a difference because I still love the first half. After you get all this stuff and you get most of the heart containers, and you can literally get them all except maybe the last, I think there's maybe 10 or 12 pieces of heart after that you can't get until you beat the last 3 dungeons. And once you get in the last 3 dungeons, to me, it starts to feel tedious and almost like a chore. But so I beat the next couple temples, and then I'm at this point, and I've got basically a temple left, and then Zant, where you go to the Twilight Realm, and then you go to Hyrule Castle and you beat Ganon. Okay, cool, end of game, wonderful. And I didn't, I wanted to do it, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go home and play this game and have so much fun.
It was like, I need to see this through to the end.
But and that was different than Metal Gear. I mean, this was maybe a 50-hour game, everything considered, and I'm 44 hours into it, right? So, okay, I can put in another few hours, get the end of this game, and then I feel like I got 100%. I beat it. I did everything. I did the optional dungeon, too, that you unlock with the amiibo that comes with the game, and that was pretty fun, too. And then that was kind of it. But I felt almost this compulsion, and when I finished, I had Star Fox 0 in my apartment, and I'm like afraid to play it because I feel like it will feel like a thing I have to finish and that I have to do. And this is probably some weird psychological thing that we don't even need to talk about on this podcast, but like when I finish Metal Gear and I get 100%, I'm going to be able to close that game and stop and think to myself, I don't need to finish any games right now. And maybe my brain operates differently than yours or most people's in a not good way, but the way that I operate kind of is in the back of my head. I always have things going on that I need to do. Like I have a list, little yellow pad list of things I need to do. One is like finish a book I'm reading.
You actually pulled out a list just now, and you have things written down that you need to do.
Yeah, it's a thing, and these are always in the back of my head. One is like mail in my taxes because I got an extension filed. Still haven't done that. I've been forgetting to do this for 2 weeks. But in the back of my head, it's like that. There's a couple projects that I'm working on in my free time. There's a couple acting like resume things I'm working on in my free time. There's all these like little things. So when you get home and you're home from work and it's like, okay, now's my free time. What are the 10 things that need to be done? And for some reason, I lump video games into that. I don't know if that's a byproduct of having done a video game podcast with you at one point, but there's almost a part of my video game hobby at this point in time that is more about finishing something than enjoying the game as I'm playing it.
Maybe if you woke up at 5 o'clock every day to play video games, you'd be able to get more video game time in.
Yeah, I've tried that and can't do that.
So that works pretty well for me. You know, I kind of feel where you're coming from. So I just finished a very long game. I finished a game called Trails in the Sky, Legend of Heroes. It was the first game of two that are on Steam. And I think it's a very traditional Japanese role-playing game. Very traditional. It's got a bunch of kind of unique systems, but in terms of story structure and everything, it is very traditional in terms of Japanese role-playing game. I didn't really talk about it all that much. Maybe I will on a future episode, who knows. It took me about 80 hours to play. It was a very long game. It was excellent. I wouldn't put that much time into a game if I didn't really enjoy it. I really enjoyed it a lot. And it's got a sequel, and I kind of want to play it. But I got done playing it, and I was staring at my Steam library because I have now 350 games in my Steam library. I've played probably 70 of them. And I was sitting there staring at my Steam library, and I was thinking to myself, I have all these games that I want to play. I want to play these games, but I just don't want to start something new. That was the thing that was going through my head, kind of. Is like, I don't want to commit to learning a completely new experience. So I'm going to play through all of Final Fantasy 13 again, because that sounds like a good plan. Because I have been wanting to play through Final Fantasy 13 again for a while. I am, I think, one of the small minority that really, truly enjoyed that game.
You know, I love that game too.
I even read an excellent, probably 15-ish page essay on why that game is actually very good. I actually sent that to you. I thought it was a very good essay.
That long, and it wasn't that good. But the game is good.
I thought it was a very good essay. I really did. And I thought it really distilled as to why Final Fantasy 13 is actually quite a good game. It's very divergent from the rest of the Final Fantasy franchise, but I think it's very good. So I sat down and I said, rather than learn something new, I would rather just play through this 40 to 50 hour game again. And I'd rather just do that again because I know what I'm getting. And I think, video games, I feel, are sometimes they have inflated time commitments in them now as to what they used to have. And sometimes I feel like games take a longer time than they need to. Like they feel like they're trying to pad out the experience a little bit. And when time is such a commodity now, it's hard for me to get excited about starting a new experience that I know could possibly take me 20 to 30 hours. So starting some sort of new experience that's going to take me 20 to 30 hours to play, and get like 7 or 8 hours into it and think to myself, man, I actually don't really like this game. I'm not having fun with it. I kind of don't want to keep playing it. I just don't want to, part of me doesn't want to risk that, especially after pouring so much time into another game. So I totally understand where you are coming from. And you've been frozen for about a minute and a half, so you could not have heard anything I just said. But I totally understand where you're coming from when you talk about the inability to start something new. And we may be different in that, but my inability to start something new, just to reiterate, is just because I don't want to risk wasting time. Is basically what it boils down to. And you're still frozen. I thought my statement was very profound. I actually, I think I'm smarter than you. So that could help explain why I approach my hobbies a little differently than you. My IQ, I know for a fact that my IQ is higher than yours. I'm more attractive, generally, maybe in the classical sense of the word, attractive. You have me beat on the kind of hipster, douchey look. Like you've got that down. Let me see. Okay. So far, I'm not that impressed with your ability to podcast. Frankly, I think I'm better at it than you. Hey, you made it.
Hi,
Sorry,
how was the last 8 minutes for you?
I forgot that your internet can't handle doing more than one thing at once.
Yeah, no, I actually think it might have been this complete piece of shit wireless Netgear receiver that I still need to get a new one, but whatever.
Yeah. So you missed my profound statement. I'm not going to say it again. You're going to have to go back and fix it in post. We're going to fix it. We're going to do it live. We're going to do it live.
I caught you saying that you started playing Final Fantasy 13 because. Do you see my video, by the way?
I do. Basically, the profound statement at the end of my minute-long soliloquy, monologue, monoquy.
You started playing Final Fantasy 13 because you knew what you were getting into?
Basically, what I said was, because it was a known quantity, I knew what I was getting. I didn't risk sinking a bunch of time into something that I ended up not liking. Is what it boiled down to.
I mean,
so that's why I liked it again.
And I've heard mixed reviews about Star Fox, but I love Star Fox, and they would have had to Ninja Gaiden 3 this game to make it an unplayable Star Fox game. When I say Ninja Gaiden 3, I mean the first two were exceptional and the third one was hot garbage.
But what if they did?
Then I won't play it. I'm actually more worried that I'll like it to the point where I feel like I have to do everything in it before I can put it down. I don't know. It's weird. It's like movies. Like for a long time, I was actually averse to watching movies because I hated the commitment. I hated feeling like I'm sitting down and now I'm about to invest 2.5 hours of my life in a movie. Because movies are even harder. You can get halfway through a movie, maybe the first half is slow, but at that point, you're kind of at the point of no return, and you pretty much have to wait out the rest of it. I mean, how many movies have you stopped watching in the middle because you figured this is a bad movie? Not after the first 20, 30 minutes, but after
it is
an hour or an hour.
Very small number.
Right, exactly. So I've always had that with movies. And for that reason, I felt really behind on films for a long time. Now my girlfriend's really into them, and if we watch them together, it's an experience kind of, since we're together. So it's different, and I can watch them now. But just committing the amount of time, I mean, I started playing The Witcher 3, which came on my PlayStation 4, and I like it so far. I like it quite a bit so far. And I started to get into it. And I realized this is a Skyrim-type game that is going to take 100-some hours to beat. I just read on Reddit the other day that there's enough dialogue in The Witcher 3 to fill 3 large novels, and it took 2.5 years to record all the voice acting because it's that dense and there's that much to it. And I could tell just by riding my horse around, I'm seeing side quests pop up left and right and everywhere. And I'm just looking at him saying, I'm going to have to do every single one of these. Not because I have to, but because I feel compelled to. And I've actually taken it. I still will bust it out once in a while, but I am forcing myself to pace myself, because if I get into it, then I feel like I'm just going to have a thing that I'm constantly compelled to play, and I don't want that. So I don't know. It's tricky. I'm glad I'm not the only one, though, that just looks at that Steam library and thinks, you know what? I'm not going to jump into something else right now.
No, I think the paralyzation of kind of indecision is a kind of a known quantity. Like, I think it's like a known thing.
Well, I expected you to just tell me that I was wrong.
Well, you're also wrong. I mean,
right.
You're still wrong. I just happen to slightly agree with you on the things that you're right about.
Yeah, okay.
But generally, you're still wrong.
Yeah. Weirdly, I have been really compelled to play Civilization lately. I haven't, but I really want to.
I think it's because the new game Stellaris just came out, which is Civilization in space, apparently done very well.
So not like Beyond Earth?
So not like Beyond Earth, right, exactly. It's interesting you bring up hobbies and the issue of them feeling like obligations, because I participated in a hobby of my own that is not video game related this past weekend, one that I really enjoy.
Is this the LS segment that you're transitioning to?
I'm talking about life stuff.
Oh my God, life stuff.
Life stuff.
And you didn't even do it with okay, you did do it with
life
an echo.
Stuff.
Thought I was going to get away from that one. I
life
guess
stuff.
Not.
Yeah, so it was my birthday. It was
No, it wasn't.
You can wish me happy birthday now.
I'm just kidding. Why?
Let me bask in this.
I have known you for 39 years, and you've never once mentioned to me that you have birthdays.
I could be that old. So I turned 31, and I know there's a couple of reasons why I know I'm old. One, I know I'm old because about 3 weeks ago, the topic of my birthday came up randomly, probably because I was telling everybody it was going to be my birthday, because that's the kind of person I am. No, the topic of my birthday came up, and somebody asked me, how old are you going to be? And I immediately said 30. And then about 10 minutes later, I thought about it, and I said, wait, no, last year was my 30th birthday. I'm actually turning 31. I am now old enough to the point where I don't remember how old I am. And that has to be an indicator that
I don't know if that's true, because I did the same thing.
That just means you're getting old too. Just because you hang out with high schoolers doesn't mean that you're young.
I disagree.
You think that does make you young? Okay.
I think it makes me younger, or
regardless.
I think it makes me young enough.
Regardless, I don't know how old I am when somebody asks me anymore. It's something I actually have to think about. Possibly I have to use my fingers and my toes. So that's something that happened this year that made me feel really old.
You know that if you use your fingers and your toes, that still only adds up to 20?
I would get there eventually. I'd probably circle back to the fingers and then maybe jump back to the toes if I needed to.
I don't want you circling back to any fingers around me.
You circle back to the fingers. That's a technique.
Or minors. No minors.
Circle.
This is an 18 and up podcast now, kids.
Circle back to the fingers and toes. That's what I've always said.
Well, we'll circle back and regroup on that later.
The other thing that made me realize I was super old was that I was asked what I wanted for my birthday, and we decided, my parents should come up from down in Rockford, where I'm from, which is like a 5 to 6 hour drive. So they came up for the weekend, and they were like, well, what do you want to do for your birthday? And the only thing I wanted to do was prep my garden to plant things, which doesn't actually make me like middle-aged at this point. That just makes me like an old man. Like that makes me an old man that I wanted to prep my garden. So my mom and stepdad are kind of green thumbs. They have a lot of experience with gardening. They have a very large garden in Rockford. I really enjoy gardening, but I'm not super great at it. I'm still learning. I'm still kind of in my infancy of gardening. And so I invited them up because I wanted their expertise. And so their birthday present to me was a rototiller, which is this mechanical device that tills up ground.
I know all about the rototiller.
That was my exciting 31st birthday present, was a rototiller. So it basically just destroys the ground and turns it into dirt. And Saturday was this super weird anomaly day across the Midwest. I know you had it in Chicago too, but we're in the early part of May when typically Minnesota, it's about 65 degrees. That's our average temperature here. That's Fahrenheit for our American listeners, like the ones that use the dumb measuring scale. I don't know what it is in Celsius. I'm sorry. I don't know the conversion in my head. Regardless.
It's 10. No, it's 15.
It was 85 degrees in Minnesota and sunny. It was one of the most beautiful days I can remember us, I don't know, maybe ever having.
That's about 26.
It was the perfect day to do garden stuff. So I spent from 10 o'clock to 7:30 getting all of the garden stuff ready with my stepdad and my mom. We went to this nursery in Minnesota called Gerton's. It is legitimately the largest nursery in the United States. Bought a bunch of stuff.
There must be a lot of babies there. Because it's a nursery. That's why.
Tons of plants, everything, seeds, everything. We planted a bunch of stuff. It was great. It was a wonderful Saturday. That was my big birthday celebration. Was planting stuff in a garden. And honestly, it was a perfect birthday. It was a perfect birthday.
Was it a perf day?
It was. So that being said, again, that's another one of my hobbies is gardening. I've been slowly getting into it more and more, and it's super fun. I find it super fun and very relaxing.
I also thoroughly enjoy gardening, but we've not been able to plant. We technically could plant, but when you were having your beautiful day in Minnesota, it got stupid here. I mean, Friday was a beautiful day exactly as you described. Maybe not quite as warm, but pretty much a beautiful day exactly as you described on Friday. Saturday, nope. Saturday, 50-ish degrees with a cold wind. It's not so much the temperature in Chicago has been bad. It's been the icy wind constantly, just the smell of death.
You've had to wear your Eskimo coat, your snow pants, your snow boots.
No, I don't wear snow pants or boots anymore because it's never going to snow again because of global warming. But there's an Arctic wind.
Chill. There's an Arctic chill in the air. I think that's a Magic the Gathering card. It's a blue spell, probably 1 blue mana, 4 colorless mana, I would assume. Maybe does 5 damage to 1 creature and then the creature next to it.
The Arctic squirrel actually all emanates from Trump Tower. It's the strangest thing. It's like a chill of foreboding.
It is terrifying, isn't it? Last thing before we move on, I have a 3-season porch in the house. You'll actually see it. So you're coming to MartinCon in a couple of weeks, which is you're probably coming to MartinCon in a couple of weeks, which is a big get together for all of our friends to come up to where I'm at and stay with me for a couple of days. Anyway, that's over Labor Day. Hopefully you'll be able to make it. And you'll be able to see I've got a 3-season porch in the house, and we just put a TV in to the 3-season porch.
What does that mean?
A 3-season porch?
Yeah.
It is an extension of your house that is basically an enclosed room, but the room doesn't have any insulation in it at all, and it has a ton of windows, and the windows all open. And the idea is you go and you sit out there, and you can open all of the windows, and it's basically like being outside without having bugs.
Are we going to be playing games on that?
So there's a ton of furniture in there now, along with the TV. So the plan is yes. And we're actually mounting the TV to the wall of the 3-season this weekend. My buddy and I are.
Can we call that room the Three Seasons Hotel?
I don't see why not. The
If
thing
you're
is, you have to.
listening,
The thing is, you have to come up to Martin Con to take advantage of the 3-season porch.
no, I understand. I'll do what I can. And if you work at the Four Seasons and you're listening to this, we would love a sponsor. Imagine your name at the beginning of this podcast, not maybe this particular episode, but any other episode. Thank you. This episode sponsored. I would ignore all the start of that. We'll start over.
No, that's a really good read. That's exactly how it's shown on the page.
This episode sponsored by the Four Seasons Hotel. Stay at the Four Seasons Hotel because we paid Cody and Jonathan money to sponsor.
I have heard plenty of sponsors. That is not at all how they typically sound.
You don't know that? Well,
that was actually better. That was actually better than the commercials that I typically hear.
Thank you. It's because specials. We do special sponsorships here.
It was a good read. You were talking about the Arctic Chill from Trump Towers.
Was I? No, that was an aside. I was just saying I haven't gardened yet because it's been. Well, I mean, the plants won't die. It's not sub-freezing, but it's not really ideal planting weather. My mom recommended maybe we wait a little longer so they can last a bit further in the year. Because my mom's also been gardening for a zillion years. And
you also live in a concrete jungle, though.
Yeah, but they get tons of sun and rain.
The concrete jungle? It is a jungle. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, you're welcome to it anytime. We've got fun and games, really everything that you could want.
Fun and games, the two most essential things to life.
Well, that's what we've got in the jungle. In the jungle. It'll bring it to your knees.
You know, that's my least favorite Guns N' Roses hit of all of them. It is. It is my least of all of the best. That was on Appetite for Destruction, right? Of all of the greatest hits from that album, by far my least favorite. It's like it's kind of not even close.
Wow, crazy. I'm going to see them on July 1st.
I'm surprised Axl's not dead. Are you sure it's not? Is it not going to be a? It's going to be a Weekend at Bernie's thing, isn't it? Somebody's going to be behind him and they're going to be like, "Hey, Axl, play that song," and they're going to like move his hands with some strings because Axl Rose is actually dead.
You and Russian John keep insisting that Axl is either dead or dying or whatever. I literally saw him perform 4 years ago with Axl and the Replacements, whatever you want to call his version of Guns N' Roses, and he was awesome.
I heard he's kind of crazy. I don't know. I don't actually know much about him, but I guess on Twitter and stuff, he's kind of like off the deep end a little bit, like conspiracy.
There's no way in hell Axl Rose is on Twitter, and I'm going to prove it by Googling it.
By searching for it online.
No, but I actually Googled it. There is no way he runs this account. There is no way he runs. I refuse to believe he runs this account.
I think he's kind of crazy.
Huge thank you to Dave Grohl for the use of his rock throne, an amazing gesture. Words aren't enough. No, Axl Rose did not say that. Shut up. You've ruined my day. Oh, that's exciting. You ruined my day. I refuse to believe that is Axl. I refuse to read it. I'm not going to follow him. You're an awful person. What have you done?
Coachella actually happened. Coachella actually happened already.
What is Coachella?
Okay. So regardless, that is the worst Guns N' Roses song off of Appetite for Destruction. And I know it's like one of your favorite karaoke songs, but it is the worst single off of Appetite for Destruction.
What about My Michelle? I never really cared for My Michelle.
Oh, the classic song sung by Paul McCartney. Yes, Michelle, My Belle. That's weird.
You're thinking "Live and Let Die." That's the Paul McCartney hit.
Yes, you're right. Okay.
So, there's that. That was a much more concise life stuff than I expected. I thought you would have more to say about your life, I guess.
I mean, gardening takes a long time, and it's not that exciting. You dig in the ground a lot, and then you plant stuff in the ground, and then you got to wait a long time. It is a patient man's game. You have to wait for a while. So right now, I just kind of hang a lot of dirt back there. I'm waiting for stuff to sprout.
Sounds like all my exes.
That literally doesn't make any sense at all. That does not make
Digging
sense.
holes and
Digging
soil
holes and
and
waiting for stuff to sprout. That makes no sense.
the coppers. Maybe the coppers come after you. I don't know. Maybe the coppers sprout on your estate. Maybe they sprout on the three PC.
Good, you broke your internet. Congratulations. Well done. Oh man. I mean, I could legitimately talk more about gardening. It's not that exciting. You don't want me to talk more about gardening.
I just want to see how long I could stare at you before you realized I was back.
God, you're awful at this game.
Creepily. All right. Well, I know we're running kind of lowish on time, but I've got one more thing to talk about. Would you like to breach some news? Current news? You know where you are? You're in current news. You're gonna die. That's how Welcome to the Jungle starts. Hey,
Yeah, I know.
America Civil War came out. Have you seen it?
I want to see it so bad. Didn't it just come out last weekend?
Yep.
When you have a kid, you don't get to do anything fun anymore.
I'm surprised. So actually, I'm surprised you said that. You've been kind of not anti. You have been kind of burned out on superhero movies lately.
But I really want to see this one. It looks really good. Maybe it's just the hype machine that has worked on me. Maybe the hype machine maybe used its hype rays of hyperness.
It's a lot of hype.
Hype me up, but it worked. Whatever it did, it worked.
I'm pretty hype about it. Have you seen Captain America: Winter Soldier?
I have.
Oh,
it was excellent.
It was excellent.
The first Captain America, legitimately disappointing for me. I didn't like it. I legitimately did not like that movie. But Winter Soldier was great.
Someone told me literally the same thing like 2 days ago.
The first movie, really weird. The first movie was not good. I don't know. It did not do it for me. But Winter Soldier was fine. Winter Soldier was awesome.
Winter Soldier was awesome. So, I guess all I want to say is if you've not seen Winter Soldier, see it before Civil War.
And it's on Netflix.
Okay, good. Because seriously, it's not on Netflix. Well, it's not on Netflix Instant. Because I tried to watch it, and I had to download it instead from somewhere else.
Oh, I thought it was on Netflix now. Okay, right on.
Well, it wasn't as of Saturday, because Saturday morning, my girlfriend had to get up early to go to a dentist appointment. So I got up and I watched Winter Soldier because it's the only Marvel movie I hadn't seen leading up to this one. And I am glad I did because seriously, the plot pretty much, I mean, Winter Soldier is extremely prominent in Civil War. So anyway, there's my PSA to anybody that hasn't watched it first. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about it, other than it was awesome. You will love it.
And I need to go see it.
I read a review that suggested the first half is kind of slow. I thought it was fine. And you do need some plot.
I mean, I think it probably follows the general superhero movie trope of being like 2.5 hours long, right? Is it 2.5 hours long?
Yeah.
They're all 2.5 hours long. They have to be
Yeah.
for whatever
Yeah,
reason.
it's true. It's the law. So anyway, yeah, Captain America: Civil War was really awesome. I thought it was one of the best action scenes I've ever seen, and you can probably hear a lot more about it on the Gonna Geek Network from other people. I finished watching season 1 of Daredevil somewhat recently, and I'm about 2/3 of the way into the first season of Jessica Jones now, which is quite good. I would recommend Jessica Jones over Daredevil personally. But again, I am in the minority on the Good and Geek Network in that I didn't love Daredevil and other people seem to have. I also watched it on my phone. 80% of the show's appeal is action scenes. Maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. Also, Kingpin is great. So, your call. But you probably don't watch stuff like that on the Netflix.
There's not a lot of time to do that.
Yeah. Jessica Jones it's not a light show. It gets pretty dark.
No, I think you actually, and if you want to hear more about your opinion on that, you can listen to our podcast from 2 weeks ago, right? You talked about that?
I think so, yeah, a little
you've
bit.
talked about it before.
Yeah, that's right. But anyway, we'll see Civil War. I'm excited to hear what you thought about it. What do you think of the new Rogue One trailer?
I mean, that movie is going to be really good.
Is it?
It is. There's something cool to me about the Star Wars universe that isn't... It's so Jedi. The Star Wars universe is so Jedi focused in general that it's kind of fun to see sort of non-Jedi focused stuff.
But the main character is a woman.
Yes.
And you're fine with that.
Am I not supposed to be? I'm sorry. I'm outraged. I'm really angry.
All right, I'm revoking your patriarchy card, John. I'm revoking your patriarchy card. You are no longer permitted...
Don't take my patriarchy card.
You are no longer permitted to oppress females by paying them 70 cents to the dollar.
Wait, was I supposed to be out? Was I legitimately supposed to be outraged about that?
Your milkshakes are supposed to be $1 more. Now, you have to pay them $1 more. I'm not sure why or who that affects, but they're supposed to happen. You weren't supposed to be outraged by that. Other people probably are. I don't know. I don't get that into the internet. I get on Twitter and I make fun of people and I make stupid jokes.
I don't drink milkshakes. I'm lactose intolerant.
You're not lactose intolerant.
No, I legitimately am. I don't drink milkshakes.
Well, I'm John Martin and
if I did drink milkshakes, I would be pissed that they were $1 more.
You don't even drink milkshakes from Beefaroo?
I can't. I don't drink milkshakes.
Do you drink milkshakes from Steak and Shake?
I don't.
Did you ever have a milkshake at the Hard Rock Cafe?
No.
Do you like McFlurries?
No, I don't eat those either.
What about Blizzards?
I can't eat those.
DQ Blizzard? What, Frosties from Wendy's? Do you drink those?
I can't. No, I don't.
Oberweis. Do you like Oberweis milkshakes?
I don't know. I don't even know what that is. So no.
Would you have a Cold Stone Creamery milkshake?
I wouldn't. I'm out of the ice cream game.
I don't understand. So do you like Breyers or Dannon better?
I don't eat either of those things.
You're right. I'm kidding. Dannon's yogurt. That was a test. I meant Edie's. Edie's or Breyers. By the way, the obvious answer is Breyers. Everyone knows that Breyers chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream is the bee's knees.
I will say that once a year I take the test. Because there's ice cream at lots of events, and I always say to myself, maybe this time, maybe I'm not actually lactose intolerant. Maybe I can do this. And then I do this, and then everybody suffers, and I say, no, I can't do this. And I don't do it again for a year.
Can you not eat pizza?
So lactose intolerance comes in a variety of degrees. Cheese generally has the lactose fermented out of it in the process of making it cheese, because the bacteria that makes it cheese eats the lactose while it is turning it into cheese. And so generally cheese is very low in lactose content. So people that are mild to moderate lactose intolerance can generally eat cheese. Now they can't eat soft cheeses because those tend to have more lactose in them. But they can eat hard cheeses. So for cheeses, generally, I'm okay.
So do you like Baskin-Robbins milkshakes?
Milk and ice cream, can't do them.
So do you like chocolate milk or strawberry milk more?
Is strawberry milk a thing?
It's totally a thing. It's gross, but it's a thing.
Wait, strawberry milk?
You've never heard of this? It's a thing. They sell it.
No. So, I mean, it doesn't come out of the cow like that, right?
No, it comes out of the cow like that.
Is this like one of those weird Monsanto things? Like
I think so.
I thought they only dealt with veggies though, and fruit and things
Yeah,
that
you
grow.
can also get broccoli milk and carrot milk, but strawberry milk is a thing. So yeah, fruit and veggies.
Huh. Straight
Yeah.
from the cow.
Straight from the cow. They're pay- Did you ever see Rainbow Bright?
No.
Did you ever see Strawberry Shortcake?
I know what that is, but I don't think I ever watched it.
Have you ever given someone a strawberry shortcake?
I was a Care Bears guy.
You know what? The phrase is strawberry cheesecake. I messed it up. I think it's best we move on before someone looks that up on Urban Dictionary.
I think that's fair.
By
Listener,
the way,
we
I gotta say, so I just gotta say, AC, rewind it 10 seconds if you want to see John smile, because we got some feedback from our Game Life Balance Australia audience that you've never smiled on our podcast, which I think is hilarious because I know you're made of misery and anger and hate.
It could very well be. It could very well be that, you know, if you're trying to make jokes, you got to try to play it straight. So it could very well be that that's pretty much all it is. We've talked about it before. We talk about it in every episode, but we are members of a podcast emporium. What would it be? A podcast crematorium? That's not the right word.
Podcast ice crematorium.
Ice crematorium. Yes, ice crematorium. No, an ice cream network. We are part of an ice cream network, a podcast network called the Gonna Geek Network. Actually, the last episode of this show, you had a couple of Gonna Geekers on. Isn't that correct?
Several.
Yep. So yeah, you can go check that out, the last episode of Game Life Balance. But we have a lot of different podcasts on the network, ranging from a variety of different geeky stuff. So just a couple of things that have happened recently on the network. On an episode of Better Podcasting, which is a podcast about podcasting and, you know, doing a better job at it. I should listen to that, shouldn't I? On Better Podcasting, it was episode 26, Learning from Live. This show, we discuss things that we learned from our live C2E2 experience, including alternative ways to position mics, considerations, and how you can use tools you have to put together all the pieces. In the Better Podcasting download, we reflect on our first impressions of Google Play Music podcasts, including areas we like and areas we think could use some improvement. Finally, in the Better Podback feedback, we round up a whole bunch of topics with questions including microphone etiquette, guest audio capture, generic microphone scissor arms. Is that a scissor arms?
Yeah, but it's only for lesbians.
Sounds scissor me timbers. Migrating from a PowerPress feed to a media host feed and several other questions. You were waiting for that joke, weren't you? Several other questions. And then on Tyrion's Landing, I'm glad we brought Tyrion's Landing back because the new season of Game of Thrones just started, season 6. I don't watch that show. People that do watch that show, they're going crazy over it. Tyrion's Landing, show 100. It was the season 6, episode 2 show. Lauren from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. joins Jeannie, Nikki, and Rachel for their 100th show. They're talking about season 6, episode 2, Home. Did Tyrion get eaten by dragons? Is Ramsay pure evil? Did Lauren survive her possum attack? All these questions and more can be found over at Tyrion's Landing.
So I don't think Lauren's a Game of Thrones character, but I would love to read about Sansa being attacked by a possum.
I was actually just thinking as I was reading that promo. One, I don't remember the character Lauren. Two, I don't remember George R.R. Martin writing a lot of possum into his stories. So I was thinking, did the show diverge that much from the books? And maybe it did. I don't know. He's going some weird ways with the show now.
Yeah, no, this season I hear Jesse Pinkman makes a guest appearance.
We have to cook.
Which is weird because that was an AMC show, not even HBO.
It's true. And that was actually a Walter White quote rather than a Jesse Pinkman quote.
We're getting deep in this episode of Game Life Balance U.S., the American edition of the Game Life Balance podcast. Did you think I was going to start to close the show with that?
I did, actually. That's basically the start to our closing. So
Well, no,
actually, I was waiting for you to run with that.
The start to our closing is thank you for listening to the Game Life Balance U.S. podcast, the American edition of the Game Life Balance podcast. But see, I never said thank you, so it's a little different. Anyway, please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this episode, and leave us a review if you really want to make our day, especially on that Google Play Music. It's new. My stats say that 0 people have listened to us through Google Play Music, even though one of the network members specifically said he's listened. So I don't know if their stats are jacked or it's weird because
it just came out, and also we've used Google Analytics in the past, and we still can't figure it out.
Well, that's true.
So I mean, it could just be that it's broken like everything else we try to do with Google.
Well, and I feel like not that many people are going to be using Google Play Music because everyone's already got all their podcasts subscribed to on Stitcher or iTunes. A variety of ways,
yeah.
You know, so it's like we've already got all these apps and we've already got our podcasts. Why would I just switch? So I don't know, because apps are what people consume on. So whatever. But anyway, so leave us a review there to listen to us on Google Play. I don't care. Just do something if you like us. And also tell us if you're looking for cheap podcast sponsorships. We're cheap, and you can find our email address and other info on our website.
You don't even have to pay us, and you could be our sponsor. You don't wait. Is that how sponsorship works?
I might actually let somebody sponsor an episode for free just to see if anybody would be willing to do it.
Okay.
You can find us on the Gonna Geek Network at GonnaGeek.com or on the official podcast network of Chicago's WGN Radio at WGNplus.com. You can learn more about Game Life Balance, including contact information and links to our sister show in Australia at GameLifeBalance.us or GameLifeBalanceUSpodcast.com. Stargate Pioneer literally registered a website because I made a joke about it on this podcast. I think it's GameLifeBalanceUSpodcast.com, I'm pretty sure. And it redirects to the Gonna Geek mirror of our podcast. So that was pretty hilarious.
Nice.
Because that's the kind of thing that happens. So anyway.
I got nothing else.
All right, cool. And we're off air. God, I'm glad we're done with that episode. I hate our listeners so much.
It's really hard to do this with you every week.
Oh, no. Are we still recording? I didn't realize.
No. Oh, no.